Hey everybody, and welcome back to my weekly GQX vlog. I will be right up front and say today I am not on camera because my camera was not charged and I have to leave in about half an hour and I need to do this now. So instead of me being in front of the green screen and talking to you, we're going to look at some pretty pictures together. I hope you don't mind. I want to start this video off by actually mentioning the opening song of Gundam GQuuuuuX. I haven't brought it up in one of the videos yet, but I do really think that by this point the music has really got me. I really like it. It took me a couple of episodes to decide if I was into the OP or not, but I think that it's really good and fits with the tone of the show right now. Partly this episode might have convinced me because I happened to listen to it really loud, and the beat for the intro is really nice. Plus it has some really good art. I really like that shot of Shalia Bull like falling over into the water and then the Gundam pulsing to the music while it's underwater. It's really nice. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't think I had talked about that yet. So episode 5 begins on the south side of side 6, where we see the centrifugal furnace being fed these big cubes of crushed metal, and we also get to experience what a space age traffic jam is like. We see some former Zeon soldiers kind of just stuck in traffic, and then you kind of realize that it's the Black Tristars, which is a callback to the original Mobile Suit Gundam, and it's really cool to see them back in this show. So Ortega and Gaia are here, but we see that Mash, the third Black Tristar, is happily married and is not working as a trucker, so good for him. He has a life outside of this. Apparently these two are also into clan battle, so making some extra money on the side, and that makes sense because of Gundam GQX's whole MAV thing, especially because in the episodes they're featured in the original Gundam, it's all about trying to overcome their teamwork, and teamwork has been a pretty big part of this show so far. We see that they pretty much are done with clan battle because it's just becoming way too expensive for them to maintain their DOMs and their weapons. But they want to do one last clan battle because they want revenge on the Red Gundam, and they're saying that back in the 1 Year War, the Gundam basically took all the credit. So if they can enter a clan battle and take the Gundam out now, then they can pretty much die happy. We get to catch up with Xavier, who is apparently out looking for clues to the GQX by himself, which Shalia Bull says was his idea, and we kind of get a peek behind the curtain at Shalia Bull's, inner thinking when it comes to new types, because Xavier he's not a very powerful new type. Like, he couldn't turn on the Psychommu on command, but he is a new type, and because of this, Shalia Bull kind of just brushes him off and is like, whatever, he'll be fine, he's a new type. And Shalia doesn't bring up the fact that he himself is a new type, and I think there's a lot of self-loathing there. And I think that's where his character is going to go. I would totally be up for a pretty in-depth exploration of kind of his headspace after the 1 Year War. And there's even more going on with Shalia than we thought before, because Xavier meets up with this old man on the train who's apparently a Zeon contact, and he tells him that Kycilia thinks that Shalia Bull might have actually been part of the theft of the GQX and not to trust him at all. Which I gotta admit, I didn't see that coming as a plot point, and it could be false because Kycilia doesn't really trust anyone, but I don't know, Shalia Bull could have orchestrated something behind the scenes to get the GQX where it needed to be to get stolen. If that's an actual plot point in the show and that comes up again, that I think will be pretty interesting. I would really like to see Shalia Bull as like the cunning maverick type character that's playing both sides, which is kind of what Char is in the 1 Year War, or in the latter half of Mobile Suit Gundam, so it would be kind of interesting to see Shalia Bull take that mantle away from Char as well. We catch up with Machu as she's hanging out on the roof of the Pomeranians team headquarters and getting some artificial sun, thinking about how Shuji just totally iced that lady in the last episode and doesn't really seem to care about it, and she kind of wonders why, like, seeing a death like that affects her but not him. And I will say, like, I kind of could have done without the full screen shot of Machu's boobs. I didn't really need that in my life, but it is here. While she's up there suntanning, I think it's like a really good example of the atmosphere that the show can kind of have. Sometimes when it focuses on Machu, it almost feels like a liminal space. I don't really know another way to put that into words, but it's almost like her wistfulness and disdain for like her regular life that she's having and her boredom almost infects the tone of the show around her. If someone else knows what I'm saying, please like let me know. It's very interesting how like a lot of times when Machu's the only character on screen, like the backgrounds are very washed out and faded and the music is muffled and things like that. Also, I will say, with the music being muffled, I really like the sound design of this episode, because there's a part where you hear some music in the background and it's muffled, and then once Machu takes off her headphones and it switches to a different scene, the music comes in full. So it's just a really cool way to like play with that soundscape. And I thought that was really interesting. I love little touches like that. So Machu and Nyaan end up taking food to Shuji in his sewer. I guess it's not really a sewer, it's like an access tunnel. And we see that he's like painted the entire thing with the Kira Kira symbolism, and it almost looks like he's like a stereotypical like mental patient in an insane asylum painting on the walls. It kind of gives me that vibe, although it's a lot prettier than that is usually depicted. Shuji is all sorts of messed up in this episode. He's like constantly sweating and his face is all red, and there's a part where like Machu looks at him and the camera like zooms in on his sweaty neck and collarbone, and she like gets all flustered and is like, ooh. And it's like, wow, man, this show's, I think this show is heading towards love triangle territory with this main three cast. And depending upon how the characterizations go, I could be for or against that. I guess we'll just have to see. I did think it was kind of gross how sweaty he was, though. Like, maybe he blasted her with pheromones. Shuji then talks about how good the cold metal of the red Gundam feels against his skin, which prompts Nyaan to take her clothes off and lay next to him in her underwear. And then Machu is like, oh yeah, well, I can also take my clothing off, and joins in. And I don't know, I just thought it was funny how this scene like illustrated how competitive Machu is with Shuji when he barely even notices. Like, he doesn't even look up, he don't care. We learn that their pipe dream of trying to go to Earth is actually way closer than anyone thought, as only a couple more wins in clan battling will give them enough money to actually rent a space glider that they can take to Earth, and Machu has already put a down payment on it. Apparently, after the 1 year war on these colonies, it's like a libertarian heaven, because they just literally don't give a shit if you're like 16 or whatever. If you got money, you can just charter a space flight and off into space you go. Who gives a shit? And Machu even says that too. Like, they bring that up. She's like, oh, they let students just buy or rent these space gliders, and she's like, they don't care as long as you have money. And hey, after working for a car rental agency for like 4 years in my early 20s, I can say that's pretty true. We then get a scene where Xavier actually recognizes Machu as she walks through the train station, and then a bunch of cops appear and ask for Nyan's papers because she's a refugee. And there's a lot that I could bring up right now and say here, but I will refrain because that will make this into a different video and derail my entire channel. So Machu kicks one of the cops in the nuts and runs away, and she gets a +1 to her experience bar on the Camille scale. They end up running away, and Xavier shoves Machu into like one of those train station coin lockers to hide her from the cops, mostly because like he wants to prove that she's the one that stole the GQuuuuuX. And also, he probably doesn't want to get involved with the cops either, because Xavier's already been arrested once in this series. He sees the emblem for Machu's school on her jacket, and he says Highbury is a school for debutantes, which made me laugh so hard because I did not expect Xavier to be whipping out the Hank Hill vocabulary. I don't want you going to side 6 at all. It's crawling with crackheads and debutantes, and half of them play clan battle. So Xavier figures that if he can just keep Machu there until the clan battle that's starting in like 10 minutes begins, then he'll have proof that she's the pilot and he can basically turn her in to Zeon. But he doesn't count on the fact that Nyaan actually gets away from the cops and puts on the pilot suit and heads to the GQuuuuuuX, actually getting past the clan battlers because actually she gets past the clan battlers because she had the beanie on, so hiding Machu's identity with the beanie wasn't a stupid idea. I'll eat crow on that one, it actually came back. Nyaan is hoping that Shuji will do most of the work because she's not like actually a pilot, so she's just sort of floating around in the GQuuuuuuX, but he has a insane fever, so he's just like literally delirious and floating around and almost comatose, so he will be no help. The Tristars show up in their Rick Doms, and I have to say the Rick Dom redesign is actually pretty good. It's modernized and has a lot of like new details on it, but not so much that it looks like a mess and it's hard to tell what's what. I think that they kept the Dom's simplicity while modernizing it fairly well, and they kept the actual like purple and black color scheme instead of like changing it to something else like they did with the Gelgoog, so it was cool to see. And then when the fight commences, we actually get a lot of callbacks to how the Tristars fought during Mobile Suit Gundam. They not only use that electric wire thing to electrocute the pilot, but they also use, of course, their giant bazookas and that weird laser on their chest that blinds people. And they even like pull out their jet stream attack where they fly around and beat the shit out of her. It's pretty cool. I think it's interesting that we got 2 episodes in a row where the enemy mobile suit pilot uses a wire to attach itself to the Gundam. In this case, I actually really like how they did it a lot better than in episode 4, because in this one, they're just like grabbing her with the grappling hook and then swinging her around and throwing her and like swinging her into the other Tristar to bash her. It's pretty well animated too. And this episode actually kind of solved my criticism of the backgrounds just being black space and getting kind of boring, because they do fly in and out of the outside parts of some of the colony and even jump off like some of the big parts of the colony's arms and things like that. So there was actually some interesting dynamic things they did with the battlefield in this episode too. Oh yeah, also Nyan's voice actress is really good. Her name is Yui Ishikawa, and when she's like freaking out and getting electrocuted and turning on the Omega Psychommu, it's very, very good voice acting. Props to her. So Nyaan gets really mad, and when she does, she's able to turn the Omega Psychommu on, and she sees the Kira Kira for the first time. And I have to say, my criticism of the last episode's fight being very shonen coded kind of still applies here. I just think that her like being, oh, I'm very determined, so I'm gonna get a power up now because I'm actually a new type and can turn on the Psychommu, is very like, that's shonen protagonist 101. But at this point, I think that's just sort of what the show is going to be, so I'm not even using it as a criticism anymore. I'm just going to ride with it, and I'm fully expecting a few more power-ups in the future and for emotions to be a very big part of where these characters get their power from, and I think that actually makes sense because they're new types. That's always kind of been a new type thing anyway, and this show is really dialing the whole new type psychic magic part of it up to 11. So I'm gonna just be excited to see where they actually go with it. During the fight, Nyan's actually able to grab the Red Gundam and use him as a shield, and I think there's a part where the Red Gundam's arms move and stuff, and I don't know if Shuji's actually doing that, or if 2 Gundams that are operating through a Omega Psychommu touch each other, maybe like one pilot can control both suits. That would be really interesting and would also go along with the whole MAV idea as well. Nyaan kills both the Tristars and ends the battle by borrowing Shuji's beam saber, which What a maneuver. Machu kicks Xavier in the shin and gets away from him, which did Xavier just get shit on so much. I really hope in the second half of this show, he's in like a fucking badass. I hope he's awesome, because he's just like getting dumped on by every character in the show so far. Anyway, she gets away from him, and she's like pissed, because she says that the Kira was just supposed to be for her and Shuji, and now she's fucking mad because she's got to share that with someone else. And then when she finds out that it was Nyaan piloting it, she is stunned into silence. And in a final scene, we see Shalia Bull see the outcome of the clan battle, and he decides to contact Granada to ask for something called a Kikaroga, which is really cool because, if you didn't know, that is a mobile suit that predates the Zhang, which was originally supposed to debut in the original Mobile Suit Gundam and be piloted by Char, but when plans changed and that series got cut by like 8 episodes or so, that mobile suit was cut out, and it's actually never shown up in any animated work until now. So that will be interesting to see. I'm assuming next episode, if not soon. So yeah, that was episode 5, and I think honestly this might have been my favorite episode besides number 2 so far. I really like the fight in it. There's actual character development. The characters are doing stuff. There's a lot of good symbolism, like the main 3 characters are up against the 3 Black Tristars, but like it kind of goes with the love triangle theme, because in this instance 3 people don't work because of the whole Mav situation and clan battles being 2-on-2. So I don't know. I just think that this episode really got a move on. It's fun to see Nyaan actually do something. It's fun to see character development between the 3 main characters and Shalia Bull and Xavier. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to get another battle next week so they can finish their final clan battle and have enough money to go to Earth. And they're either not going to be able to go to Earth because some bullshit's going to happen, some bad stuff is going to happen, or they will rent that, start heading towards Earth, and this series will go from being like a Battle of the Week series to maybe a war series. It really seems like there's something brewing in the background. There's a lot of tension that isn't vocalized by the main characters, but when you watch the show, you can just like sort of feel it. So I'm pretty on the hook now for this show. If episode 4 made me a little bit disappointed in how it was going so far, episode 5 got me back on board, and now I'm pretty excited for the future. So you'll have to let me know down below. This ended up being a really long, rambling episode, so I apologize for that. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of episode 5, and I will see you all next week for episode 6 vlog review. Also, I think at the end of this week there will be a new Gundam video out on the channel. I'm doing Stargazer, so keep a lookout for that, and I will see you all again very soon.